No, you started as a radio, disc jockey, as you said. When you were, spinning platters and making with the banter, did you ever think the president of the United States would be celebrating your unemployment?
For those who think I go too hard on Donald Trump, to the point where there are still a lot of people who think I should be pulled off the air for making fun of Donald Trump. So I want to explain, I talk about Trump more than anything because he's a bully. I don't like bullies. I played the clarinet in high school, okay? So I just don't like him. Donald Trump is an old-fashioned 80s movie style bully, taking your lunch money. And if you give it to him once, he'll take it again. And he'll stuff you in a locker, and he'll stomp on your trapper keeper and slam the door. That is Donald Trump. Okay?
And yet, when Donald Trump repeatedly lies or cheats or shows utter disregard for our Constitution or just insults people, when he calls service members who died in battle losers, or fellow citizens vermin, or the enemy within, people make excuses for it. They say, well, he's not serious. He's not. Everything a president says is serious.
It's honestly wild when you put Jimmy Kimmel and Barack Obama's biggest moments against Donald Trump side by side, because that's when you really see how differently they take him apart. Kimmel thrives on live TV, reacting in the moment, reading Trump's own words back to him with a smile and getting the audience laughing. While Obama has a completely different style. He stays calm, speaks with quiet confidence, and lets his words do the work until the entire room naturally shifts in his direction. Different personalities, different approaches, but they both end up with the same result. Every time, the story seems to end with Trump getting furious, melting down, or firing back in some way. At the 2024 Oscars, Kimmel even read Trump's Truth social review of the show out loud and thanked him on air, turning the criticism into one of the funniest moments of the night, almost like Trump was an overly dramatic online reviewer desperate for attention. Years before that, Obama calmly shut down the whole birther controversy while Trump was sitting right there in the audience wearing a tuxedo. Looking back now, it almost feels like Obama showed everyone the blueprint, and years later Kimmel picked it up and delivered it under the brightest lights possible. But before we get into all of that, let's rewind for a moment because the full story makes a lot more sense once you have complete context.
I get it. What I cannot understand is why anyone would think that Donald Trump will shake things up in a way that is good for you. That I don't understand. Because there is absolutely no evidence that this man thinks about anybody but himself. I've said it before. Donald Trump is a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down that golden escalator 9 years ago. And when he's not complaining, he's trying to sell you stuff. He's got his gold sneakers. He's got the $100,000 watch. Says it's a Swiss watch, but nobody can actually figure out where in Switzerland was this thing made.
I think unjustly, this puts them at risk. The President of the United States made it very clear he wants to see me and the hundreds of people who work here fired from our jobs. Our leader celebrates Americans losing their livelihoods because he can't take a joke.
Back in 2011 at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, Barack Obama walked up to the microphone, completely calm and in control, then methodically took apart Donald Trump's obsession with the birther conspiracy. The speech is still part of the public record, and the video has been replayed countless times. But it continues to stand out because the cameras kept cutting to Trump, who never seemed to find any of it funny. Obama delivered one dry joke after another, pausing just enough to let each one sink in. And you could feel the energy in the room building as people realized he was fully committed to the moment. Over the years, that night has become one of the most talked about moments in modern political television. Many people who followed it closely point to it as the night when a future presidential candidate experienced what it felt like to be the target of the joke instead of the one controlling the spotlight. That isn't some conspiracy theory. It's simply how many people remember the moment, and the public record is still there, including Obama's remarks about the birth certificate and the memorable movie trailer joke that helped make the speech so unforgettable.
Donald Trump is here tonight. Now, I know that he's taken some flack lately, but no one is happier, no one is prouder to put this birth certificate matter to rest than the Donald. And that's because he can finally get back to focusing on the issues that matter. Like, did we fake the moon landing? What really happened in Roswell? And where are Biggie and Tupac? All kidding aside, obviously we all know about your credentials and breadth of experience. For example, no, seriously, just recently in an episode of Celebrity Apprentice, at the steakhouse, the men's cooking team did not impress the judges from Omaha Steaks. And there was a lot of blame to go around, but you, Mr. Trump, recognized that the real problem was a lack of leadership. And so ultimately you didn't blame Little John or Meatloaf. You fired Gary Busey. And these are the kind of decisions that would keep me up at night.
Fast forward to 2016, and it almost felt like the perfect encore during his final White House Correspondents' Dinner. Barack Obama wrapped up a night with his now famous Obama Out mic drop, a moment that instantly became one of the most memorable comedy exits ever delivered by a sitting president. Throughout the speech, he smoothly mixed policy, lighthearted jokes about the media, and a few carefully placed lines aimed at Donald Trump, all without raising his voice or losing his calm, measured style. If the 2011 dinner felt like the opening punch, then 2016 was a graceful finale, showing that a sharp roast doesn't have to be loud to make an impact. The record of that night is easy to verify, with the speech preserved in the White House archives, C-SPAN's coverage, and the full published transcript, making every joke and every line available exactly as it was delivered.
The Donald is not really a plans guy. He's not really a facts guy either. He calls himself a business guy, which is true, but I have to say I know plenty of businessmen and women who've achieved remarkable success without leaving a trail of lawsuits and unpaid workers and people feeling like they got cheated. Does anyone really believe that a guy who spent his 70 years on this earth showing no regard for working people is suddenly going to be your champion?
Now jump ahead to the Oscars on March 10th, 2024, where Jimmy Kimmel was hosting live, and another unforgettable moment unfolded. While the ceremony was still going on, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, calling the Oscars boring, accusing them of being too politically correct, and saying Kimmel was the worst host. Instead of ignoring it, Kimmel read the entire post out loud on live television, thanked Trump with a smile, and then followed up with a quick joke asking if it was past Trump's jail time. The audience immediately erupted because it was one of those moments that felt completely spontaneous, turning Trump's own post into the punchline. It was classic Kimmel, taking a real-time reaction and flipping it into comedy right in front of millions of viewers. The clip spread almost instantly, with major outlets like The Hollywood Reporter, USA Today, and Business Insider all covering the exchange as one of the biggest moments of the night.
I was just, doing this show is not about me, and I appreciate you having me. It's really about you and Emma and all these great actors and actresses and filmmakers. But I was told we have like an extra minute, and I'm really proud of something. I was wondering if I could share it with you. I just got a review, and has there ever been a worse host than Jimmy Kimmel at the Oscars? His opening was that of a less than average person trying too hard to be something which he is not and never can be. Get rid of Kimmel and perhaps replace him with another washed up but cheap ABC talent, George Slopanopoulos. He would make everybody on stage look bigger, stronger, and more glamorous. Blah, blah, blah. Make America great again. Okay, now, see if you can guess which former president just posted that on Truth. Anyone? No? Well, thank you, President Trump. Thank you for watching. I'm surprised you're still... Isn't it past your jail time?
What makes it all work is that Kimmel rarely has to invent a joke. He takes Trump's own words, uses them as a setup, and then lets the audience deliver the reaction. That's where the connection between Kimmel and Obama becomes so interesting. Obama had a talent for cutting through a narrative and exposing its weakness with a few carefully chosen lines, while Kimmel specializes in capturing the reaction as it happens and putting on display for everyone to see in real time. And once you look at it that way, a clear pattern starts to emerge. When Obama roasted Trump in 2011, it helped create the lasting story of a man who hated being the punchline. When Obama returned for his final Correspondents' Dinner in 2016, that story only grew stronger. Then, when Kimmel read Trump's Truth Social post during the 2024 Oscars, it sparked another round of headlines, debates, and reactions across the internet. The behavior always seems familiar. The frustration, the need to respond, the attempt to take control of the moment again through sheer volume. That consistency is exactly why these moments stick in people's minds. No one has to exaggerate what happened or invent a dramatic reaction. The footage, the comments, and the responses are already there. You simply watch the sequence unfold, and the story practically tells itself.
And ABC is dying. He was the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards. Remember I did that? Remember I wrote I put a Truth. Everybody should go to Truth immediately. And by the way, we also love Elon, I have to tell you. Gave me a big endorsement, big one. But remember in the Academy Awards, I said how he's the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards, and this stupid guy goes up, and just before the Best Picture of the Year, the show is almost over. They're waiting for the Best Picture of the Year. He gets up, and he says, and his wife said, please don't do it. Please, darling, don't go out. His manager said, don't do it. I have to do it. He goes out and reads my truth to the entire audience right before the prime time, the Best Picture. And it said basically, he is the worst host of the history. He reads the whole thing. And then I think he said something like, ha, 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 he thinks he bothers me or some crap like that. I said, he's one of the dumbest human beings ever. He should have listened to his wife. What a dope. But
then came the week many people in the media describe as a cancellation, while Jimmy Kimmel treated it more like a test. In mid-September 2025, ABC took Jimmy Kimmel Live off the air for 6 days after one of his monologues referenced the murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk and criticized the online outrage culture that quickly formed around it. Disney said the decision was meant to lower the temperature, but the controversy only grew. Donald Trump publicly celebrated the suspension and called for even stronger action against broadcasters who criticize him. As Reuters documented, the situation became increasingly complicated. Even after ABC announced the show's return, some major station groups, including Nexstar and Sinclair, continued keeping Kimmel off the air in certain local markets. The show eventually returned the following Tuesday, but the back and forth between the network and its affiliates kept the story in the headlines. When Kimmel came back, he responded with a passionate defense of free speech, framing the entire episode as a test of whether public pressure and political attacks could silence criticism. Looking at the bigger picture, It almost felt like the next chapter after the Oscars, another moment that fit the same ongoing pattern of public clashes between Kimmel and Trump.
You know, as of this taping, the president has not weighed in on ABC's decision to put us back on the air. I don't know, maybe he's saving it for his late-night toilet time, but His Magnificence had other business today in New York, big business, addressing the United Nations, which got off to a rocky start when the Trumps hit the escalator. And it suddenly stopped. They had to walk up. He broke the escalator. Where was that escalator 10 years ago when we needed it on the way down?
One of the most interesting parts of the story came later when Jimmy Kimmel sat down with Stephen Colbert and talked about what really happened behind the scenes. He recalled getting a phone call while he was in the bathroom, less than an hour before the show was supposed to start. The guests had already arrived, the crew was ready, everything was in motion, and his first thought was, that's it, I'm done. Even so, he decided to tape the show anyway for the archive, knowing that some local affiliates were already pulling away from a broadcast. Several major outlets, including Business Insider, Entertainment Weekly, and The Hollywood Reporter, documented what happened. And for anyone who has worked in television, the story felt completely believable. You can spend an entire day planning every detail, and then one unexpected phone call changes everything in an instant. That honesty is a big reason Kimmel's style connects with people. He never tries to sound like a politician. He approaches everything as a comedian who keeps performing even when the pressure is at its highest, reading the joke anyway and letting the audience decide. And if this were only another story about a late-night host going after a politician, it would be easy to dismiss it as part of the job. But the earlier Obama moments give it a much bigger context, because back in 2011, the President of the United States was using comedy to make a serious point about accountability, proving that sometimes the strongest political message comes wrapped in a well-timed joke.
Oh, why are folks making excuses for that? Oh, well, that's just him. No. There are consequences to these actions. They embolden other people to be cruel and divisive and racist. And it frays the fabric of our society. And it affects how our children see things. And it affects the ways that our families get along. It affects how the world looks at America. That behavior matters. Character matters. This guy is temperamentally unfit to be commander-in-chief, and he is not equipped to be president. And this should not be a controversial claim. It really shouldn't. I mean, it's strange how over time what is crazy gets normalized. And we just kind of assume, well, you know what? He said 100 crazy things, so the 101st thing we just don't even notice. He says he'll be his own foreign policy advisor. He says he can do that because he has a good brain. Now, that is contestable. Do you want somebody to be your voice who on tape brags about how being famous allows him to get away with sexual assault? Who calls women pigs or dogs or slobs and grades them on a scale of 1 to 10? That is not the voice of America. That's not the better angels of our nature. And we have a choice. We can choose that, or we can choose to teach our kids that our diversity is our strength. That women are full and equal citizens, capable of doing anything a man does. That our job, particularly when we have positions of authority, particularly when this country has blessed us, is to treat everybody with dignity, treat everybody with respect, to treat everybody with generosity and kindness.
If you go back and read the official transcript, you can really see how Barack Obama built those jokes. The setups are short, the facts are grounded, and every punchline lands without feeling forced. He never had to call Donald Trump a clown, because he simply presented the facts and let the audience connect the dots on their own. Then in 2016, he closed his final White House Correspondents' Dinner with a message of gratitude to press before ending with the now famous words, "Obama out," a simple mic drop that instantly brought the room to a perfect close. It wasn't just funny, it was incredibly disciplined. When you combine that style with Jimmy Kimmel's ability to work a live audience, it creates a powerful combination that keeps turning Trump's reactions into part of the story. That's why those handoff moments are so memorable. Kimmel reading Trump's own Truth social post during the 2024 Oscars carries the same spirit as Obama calmly looking into the camera in 2011 and treating the birther conspiracy like the opening scene of a sitcom. The delivery is different, but the goal is exactly the same. Let the audience see the difference between Trump's public claims and the public record. Obama lets a raised eyebrow and a well-timed pause do the work, while Kimmel reads the post out loud and lets the crowd's reaction finish the joke. In both cases, the message comes across without needing to be shouted. And if the story itself is convincing, it doesn't need all caps or louder rhetoric to make its point. During the controversy surrounding Kimmel's suspension, that same conversation spread across late-night television, with other hosts joking about the idea of a comedy show being pulled off the air over monologue jokes, while also pointing out the irony that some of the loudest calls for punishing critics came from the same political figures who celebrated when those critics lost airtime.
Yesterday, after threats from Trump's FCC chair,
there were even nights when it felt like late-night television had turned into a relay race, with Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert swapping chairs and continuing the same conversation from different stages. The crossover episode drew plenty of attention, and the industry buzz made it clear that this wasn't just one host taking shots at a politician. It felt more like late-night comedy standing together to defend its space to challenge and joke about people in power. In that sense, Kimmel almost becomes a modern continuation of the approach Barack Obama used years earlier at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The stage is different, but the principle stays the same. You don't have to enjoy a joke for it to have a place in public conversation. And that's really what connects all of these moments. The biggest laughs usually come when the jokes stay closest to the public record. Obama's 2011 routine resonated because he addressed the birther conspiracy by pointing to the facts before delivering the punchline. Kimmel's Oscars moment landed for a similar reason. He simply read Trump's own words out loud and let them come back around as a joke. In both cases, the facts carried much of the weight, while the timing made the moment unforgettable. That's why the reactions so often follow the same familiar pattern.
The moment that, because the first people I texted when I got the news that we were pulled off the air, I came into my office and I told some people, and then I texted you and Jimmy and Seth and the two Johns to let you know what had happened.
Yeah.
But you were on stage at that time.
Yes. I was just finishing my show. When you're texting, I didn't get it from you. I was on stage. I just finished the show. It was a Wednesday night. We had a pretty good show. I was about to say, good night, join us tomorrow for Pete Barbuti and Adrienne Barbeau, or like whoever my guest was the next night. And Victor Buono. And some Victor Buono fans over there. Thank you. And my executive producer comes over and he goes, hey, I just got this text from Carrie. She thinks I think I'm right to show it to you.
Barack Obama and Jimmy Kimmel may have completely different styles, but the way they build a moment is surprisingly similar. Obama often used humor to make a larger point, and his final White House Correspondents' Dinner with the unforgettable Obama out mic drop, while Kimmel wrapped up his Oscars exchange by simply saying, "Thank you, President Trump," after reading Trump's own post to the audience. Different lines, same efficiency. In both cases, the moment doesn't really end until the reaction arrives, because that's when the joke turns into something bigger than comedy. It becomes part of a larger conversation about power, public image, and how people respond to criticism. That's why these moments continue to be replayed and discussed. They aren't remembered only because they were funny, but because they captured real reactions unfolding in front of everyone. You can even see the audience dynamic at work. During the Oscars, millions of people were watching the ceremony, while also following social media at the same time. And Kimmel understood that perfectly. Instead of ignoring Trump's post, he turned into part of the show, using Trump's own words to create one of the night's most talked about moments.
Is there something we need to know? Did we land on the moon?
It's crazy. Jerry told me that you feel.
Okay, Jimmy Kimmel's show has been pulled indefinitely by ABC. Wow. Wow. Wait, hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. I want to find out what this is about. I'll be right back. So, there's no signal in the Ed Sullivan Theater. So it didn't tell me why. There was no rationale given, just that you had been yanked. So I went backstage.
You figured I did something stupid, right?
I generally assume that it's your fault.
Yeah.
I know you well enough to do that. So I went backstage and then I was like, oh, I don't know what this, I can't really tell why this happened, so we'll talk about it tomorrow. And then we did the whole next night was just about you.
Picture the final scene like a split screen. On one side, you have the elegant ballroom of the White House Correspondents' Dinner with chandeliers overhead. Everyone dressed in black tie, and Barack Obama standing at the podium with that calm expression and a raised eyebrow as the room fills with laughter while Donald Trump sits quietly in the audience. On the other side, you have the bright lights of the Oscars, a theater packed with celebrities, and Jimmy Kimmel casually reading one of Trump's Truth Social posts as if it were just another cue card before turning it into one of the biggest laughs of the night. Different stages, different styles, but the same basic lesson. Facts often land harder than exaggeration, and good timing will almost always beat loud rhetoric. Now I want to hear what you think. If you have a favorite moment from Obama's 2011 or 2016 White House Correspondents' Dinner speeches, share it in the comments. And if Kimmel's Oscars response stood out to you, let me know which part got the biggest reaction from you. If you enjoy looking back at these memorable moments and the public reactions that followed, be sure to subscribe because every time one chapter ends, another unforgettable live television moment seems to be right around the corner.